Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. Today we will discuss the life of Adhar Lal Sen. Adhar means ungraspable. God, of course. But is God ungraspable? To the ordinary mind. But the mind that's trained and purified can grasp it. The other is that ungraspable one. A lot of people used to come to Sri Ramakrishna, I say, for cures, for miracles. And Sri Ramakrishna was not that type, fortunately. So one time, Adhar Lal Sen, he asked Sri Ramakrishna, what powers do you have? And the master laughed. He's saying, by the grace of the mother, I lull to sleep those very deputy magistrates that are feared and respected by many others. The huge laughter. He was the deputy magistrate. And so he used to go every evening to Dakshineshwar and continuously for 6 months. And he used to go in the evening, after he finished his work, he'd go in a horse carriage in those days. It took an hour and a half. By the time he went there, he was tired. He fell asleep there in Sri Ramakrishna's room. And a few people criticized. He comes all the way and he comes to sleep. So Sri Ramakrishna says, no, don't worry. This is the Divine Mother's place. It is an abode of peace. Instead of engaging in worldly talk, he sleeps. That's all right. A little peace comes to such people. So, and before the main gate of the temple was closed at 10 p.m., we used to wake him up and time to go home. Sometimes he used to come with his daughter and also his nephew. On those days, he had to return a little early. So he used to return home at around midnight. So Adhar was born in 1855, March 2, Calcutta. He was the son of Ram Gopal Sen. His father was quite well off, in the sense of he had some shop or a business that sold thread. And he had 5 sons, 2 daughters. Adhar was the 5th son. So from old house in Beniatola Street and Ahirtola, he went to Beniatola. That's another locality in Calcutta. He was very precocious as a young boy, very intelligent also. And he was awarded the Duff Scholarship for English in his school, and he graduated from Presidency College in 1877. He had already started penning a few books. So 2 of his books were Lalita Sundari and Menaka. And even before graduation, he had written Nalini and Kusum Kanan. He had also translated Lord Lytton's book, The Wanderer, into Bengali. Lord Lytton was the Governor General of India. And he received much praise from all literary circles, and in his writings you could see that he doubts the existence of God. And there's also an influence of the modern world on his mind, that is, the West. And he used to ask questions about why these rituals are necessary and why is that this should be kind of discarded. But he was inclined towards the non-dualistic idea of God. And that was, you can say, highlighted in his work, Kusum Kanan. So in 1879, he was just 24 years and he had been made a deputy magistrate. Now he was sent to Chittagong. Now Chittagong, now it's in Bangladesh. It's a very famous place. From there he was sent to Jessore, which is also in Bangladesh now, after the partition of India. And after Jessore, he was brought to Calcutta. When he was in Chittagong, he's a deputy magistrate, as we don't. In those days, he had tremendous administrative powers these guys had. But he was also interested in architecture and archaeology. And he used to go around the local old village sites and dig. So in one place, he had dug, you can say, some of these, he had started an excavation in Sita Kund. And so he had written a book also, The Shrines of Sita Kund. And he read these papers out at the Royal Asiatic Society, and that speaks very highly of him, because it was only these elite scholars focusing on Indology, which was now a new subject that was being kind of taught and you can say promoted. So, and he came in touch also with the elite of society. Though he had a doubting mind about God, yet he was traditionally he grew up in a house which had all, as they say, 13 festivals in 12 months. Everything, you always have some religious festivals. And his father was a great guy of celebrating all festivals. So those also had kind of impressed on his mind the idea of personal God also, though he wasn't very keen. But some of his friends, Vaishnava friends, had asked him to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Chaitanya Bhagavad. These are books on the life and teachings and times of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so he had also, by this time, he had in Keshav Chandra Sen's journals, Sulabh Samachar, he had read about Sri Ramakrishna, Paramahansa. Because whenever Keshav Chandra Sen used to go and meet him, he used to go and kind of write about his. I remember I met a very old lady. She was in her 90s, mid-90s. And I remember her because very vividly, oh my God. She was a firebrand, my God. She was the great-granddaughter of two families, Keshav Chandra Sen's and you can say M. So, she was, she married Keshav Chandra Sen's descendants, and she was a descendant of M's family. And she used to, in those days, it was Brahmo Samaj all around, and they had a great influence. So the Brahmo Samaj was kind of instrumental also in spreading Sri Ramakrishna's name. So he did make time and go to see Sri Ramakrishna. And it's mentioned in the Gospel, after asking a few questions about the other non-essentials of religion. So it records, a devotee asked, "Can one see God?" Master: "Yes, surely one can see both aspects of God. God with form and without form. One can see God with form, the embodiment of spirit. Again, God can be directly perceived in a human being in a tangible form." Then Sri Ramakrishna said, "Seeing an incarnation of God is the same as seeing God himself. God is born on earth as man in every age." Now imagine, just he is an incarnation of God. He's speaking about the incarnation. These guys are still, they have not been able to recognize. And it's true, it's very difficult to recognize an incarnation. But then here you say, like even in the Bible, they say, "He who has seen the Son has seen the Father." It's always like that. So here he says, seeing an incarnation of God is the same as seeing God himself. God is born on earth as man in every age. So God with two types of God? No, God in two categories. God in two forms. One is the aspect of the personal God and the aspect of the impersonal God. So one can see God. So this is what one finds over and over in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. It doesn't beat around the bush. He'll come straight. You can see God. And the goal of human life is to see God. Simple as that. So Adhar was very impressed at this first meeting, and all his doubts were completely dispelled. And he mentally surrendered to Sri Ramakrishna. It was then he found that he was experiencing joy and peace. When you surrender yourself to God, what do you get? Oh, it's slavish. You don't know. That's just, it seems slavish externally. But internally, this is what one really gets. People want peace. People want happiness. Here it is. This is the way. Sri Ramakrishna in turn recognized Adhar as one of his devotees, like of the inner circle, that's what I say. The second time Adhar visited Sri Ramakrishna in 1883, and he had taken along a friend, Sharda Charan. Now this friend was, he used to get into trances. But his expression during the trance was as if he's experiencing some kind of great discomfort or pain. And that had put off Adhar, these kind of trances and all. Look at this. It's feeling as if a great pain inside. But when he met Sri Ramakrishna and he saw Sri Ramakrishna in that blissful mood while in Samadhi, then he's saying, "Oh, thank God I came here. I had taken an aversion to your trances. Now I know that Samadhi, etc., is full of bliss. If I wouldn't have come to Sri Ramakrishna, I would have my doubts wouldn't have been dispelled." So this Sharda Charan, his friend, his son had passed away, and so he had to seek consolation. He had, both of them, he and his friend Adhar and Sharda, they had come to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna sometimes, he's depending on the person. Sometimes he speaks nicely, softly, but at times he'll try to rouse in you this idea of fearlessness. So he sang a songs to this. To arms, O man, death storms your house in battle array. So this is, sometimes you say, you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready to fight anytime, and even death. What can you do? Be ready for death. Be ready for death. Death has entered the house. You must fight death with the weapon of God's name. So this is the solution. And he's saying, one doesn't come to grief if you let yourself surrender to to God here in this time. During this conversation, he took Adhar out on the, you can say, patio outside, on the northern patio, they say. And he started telling him something. Less than 2 years, Adhar had passed away. So what was that? He had seen that he is going to be short-lived, and he didn't want him to waste any time. So that's what. So he told him, one must have stern determination, then alone is spiritual practice possible. There is great power in the name of God, in the seed of God's name. Saying, then he gives an example of a seed that sprouts. The shoot is very soft and tender, but it can penetrate a very hard baked clay also. So similarly, God's name is something like this. It can penetrate the hardest of minds. So this was how now he understood that. Okay. And Adhar also, he got it that I don't have much time to live. Okay. And so he had advised him, what do you do? Yeah. You seek the company of the holy, like the sadhu sangha, they say. And not only that, when he couldn't come, Sri Ramakrishna used to go to his house. And so he found that he used to invite Sri Ramakrishna at times. Sometimes Sri Ramakrishna used to come uninvited, and it was always open for him. And Adhar's house had become one of Sri Ramakrishna's parlor in Calcutta. Once there was, Sri Ramakrishna had come and Rajanarayan, a singer, was engaged by Adhar to sing the songs of the Chandi. And in that, when he sang, I have surrendered my soul at the fearless feet of the mother. Am I afraid of death anymore? It's a very famous Ram Prasad song. Very famous. I mean, much emotion and much spirituality in it. So the master went into samadhi listening to this. And so Sri Ramakrishna was there, and he also, another time, I think it was the same day, he had told Sri Ramakrishna, you see, my house smells of worldliness and everything is dark. And I prayed to God that you should come, and you have come here. And Sri Ramakrishna was very pleased. He blessed him, touched him. He wrote something that mystic syllable on his tongue. And so, mystic syllable, what is that mystic syllable? It's a mystic syllable. It's a transference of spirituality. Now with Sri Ramakrishna, it was kind of direct, 1,000 volts getting inside. And he also, Sri Ramakrishna always used to do it like either touch the devotee's heart or the tongue or the head. So this is to awaken the higher centers of consciousness. And thus he imparted spirituality to Adhar. So in 1884, he was still young. He had been made a faculty in the arts, Faculty of Arts in the Calcutta University, which is a very prestigious post. And so his one of his aims was to spread education amongst the masses, and he was busy with these meetings and these conferences, etc. So, being busy, then he went to Sri Ramakrishna after a long time. Then he's saying, "Hello, what happened? Why are you not coming here all these days?" So I'm busy with all these things and meeting schools. So Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, so you completely lost yourself in schools and meetings and forgot everything else?" So everything was hidden at the back of my mind. And then by that time Sri Ramakrishna had dislocated his arm, elbow, or broken. They say it's all broken. So the splint and all these things put, and so Adhar inquired about his arm. So he's saying it's not yet healed. Then Sri Ramakrishna said, "Look here, all these are unreal. Meetings, school, offices, and everything else. God alone is the substance. All else is illusory. One should worship God with one's whole mind." And Sri Ramakrishna, he said these things, and Adhar was very receptive. He listened to the whole thing. Sri Ramakrishna continued, this moment the body is, and next moment it is not there. One must make haste to worship God. This is found in the gospel. Then you told him, okay, but you don't have to give up anything. Be like the tortoise. No? It's in the water. It lays its eggs on land. Its entire mind is on those eggs. So do everything in this world, but keep your mind on God. That is what. And so, as we've seen, he had imparted already spirituality through that touch. He told Adhar Lal once, "See, I regard you as Narayana himself." And he touched his head and heart and was saying, now we wonder, so much of affection for the devotees. Adhar had understood that Sri Ramakrishna was not ordinary, because one time Mahima Charan Chakravarti, there was a devotee, he was a great scholar. You find his name mentioned in the gospel many times. And he was learning the tantras, and Adhar had happened to be there. So they were discussing all this. Adhar did not like the way the explanations of those particular aspect of tantras was. So he said, let's go to Sri Ramakrishna, because he has studied this thing. And as they met him, Sri Ramakrishna began speaking on that very naughty problem, and Adhar understood like this is speaking from his own experience. And all these things increased his faith in Sri Ramakrishna. So Sri Ramakrishna, whenever he used to go to Adhar's house or any other house, he used to go along with his entourage. Some sometimes M, sometimes Narendra, who became Swami Vivekananda, and also Rakal Maharaj. And he used to give him, serve Sri Ramakrishna devotees very elaborately. In the meantime, he was ambitious, and he was trying to get a kind of a vice chairman, a post of a vice chairman in the Calcutta municipality. And so he had asked Sri Ramakrishna, a lot of people come to you, why don't you recommend my name to them? So then he tells, see, if mother wills, she'll give you that job. But then I told mother, Adhar has been visiting you. And I said, how small-minded he is. He is praying to you for things like that, job, etc. And not for knowledge and devotion. Then he says, be satisfied with the job you have. You don't have to run about. Because he was displeased because Adhar was going around flattering, the bigwigs of the city. But Sri Ramakrishna himself had gone and recommended Adhar to another very rich Jadu Malik. His name is also mentioned a couple of times. He was a very rich landlord, Jadu Malik. So Jadu Malik, he could pull strings. But Jadu Malik says, no, he's still young because he didn't get a job. Jadu Malik tried to console Sri Ramakrishna. No, he's still young, he can get a job. Now, so he said Adhar had both yoga and bhoga. That is, yoga, that is not, that's the spiritual side of yoga, and bhoga is enjoyment, experiences. So, very few people have both in, you can say, equal measure. Sometimes it's one more or the other is less. At the same time, he said, you see, but with all these things, you're still henpecked. You've got to be a little firm and strong. He's saying, go forward. Adhar used to perform the Durga Puja every year. And Sri Ramakrishna used to go to attend the Durga Puja. So whenever he used to go there, he used to fold his hand in front of the image and go into Samadhi. And one time he says, I have never before seen such a smiling image. That's the image of Mother Durga. So these were some of the interactions with Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna had warned him also, don't ride a horse. Okay. Now, being an important person in this British administration, he had to go to places. So there was a time when during an inspection of a distillery, so he had gone on horseback, and on the way back, he was thrown off the horse. He broke his wrist, and like in those days, he was infected with tetanus, and he lost the power of speaking. So his nephew reminisces, my uncle fell from a horse, fracturing his left arm and incurring fatal injuries. He passed away 8 days to that. So Sri Ramakrishna went to see Adhar when he heard of the accident. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying, looked very pale when he came to Adhar's bedside. And when Adhar saw him, tears rolled down his cheeks. The master talked to him a little, caressed him, and he said, when Adhar saw Sri Ramakrishna, and when Sri Ramakrishna was there, his face was beaming. He lost his voice, he couldn't speak. Later, Sri Ramakrishna says, I had warned him not to ride, but while he was returning from that inspection tour, he had a vision of his Ishta. And it was so grand and so powerful, and he was so full of joy, he lost control of the horse. And there. So from circumstantial, you can say, evidence, you can know that his chosen deity was Kali. And so he fell down. Yeah. He could have gone in a better way, but no, it was that was karma, you know. Sri Ramakrishna, when he heard all that, he's saying, he started complaining to the Divine Mother. You asked me to stay in the world, and see, I have to see the bereavements of all these devotees. Now, you can understand, Sri Ramakrishna, as an incarnation of God, is so attached to his devotees. That gives us a lot of hope. Oh, yes. So, he's saying, an incarnation of God would cry for his devotee. He said that because of this grief, Sri Ramakrishna did not speak for 3 days with anybody. And he remained in bed. So, it's like, that great love for the devotees he had, like, the devotee passes away, it's painful for God. So this is, what do we take away from this? That God loves his devotees more than the devotee loves God. And the devotee's love for God is actually a reaction of God's love for the devotee. See, when you love somebody, you automatically reciprocate. The moment you have love for God, then bless yourself. Because you can be sure God loves you. And if that's not true, then the whole life of Adhar actually showed us what this God, incarnation of God, experiences when a devotee passes away. And we see also in the life of Holy Mother and even Swamiji, the grief that they display, amazing. We might say, they are supposed to be having the knowledge of Brahman. Why do you weep? You should not. No, these know the Brahman. I was once talking about this, to another senior Swami, and then we are cracking jokes and the knowledge of Brahman and this and that. So and he's the devotee type. So he's saying, see, like Sri Ramakrishna, he's saying, Mother, I spit on your knowledge of Brahman. And he take it away, take it away. So these knowers of Brahman and all, the knowers of Brahman, they have a special kind of mission here on earth to show that God is not far away. God is the nearest one. Not only that, people say, his name is ungraspable. It's ungraspable. God, he can be grasped, but not by the ordinary mind. You know how he can be grasped? Through love. In fact, we don't see God anywhere. Do you feel love? Do you see love around? That is God's manifestation. So this, and we cannot catch it. Adhar, we can't catch it. If you can catch it, that is where you have held on to God. And God will then work for you to bring you back to Him. Stop here for questions. Om, peace, peace, peace. Before we can go, we can make these announcements, special programs. PBS is on its website. It's got America's First Guru. And it's been years in the making and it's wonderful. So it first aired on May 1st, and you can go to the website and it's free. So it's remarkably done. I mean, we're getting a lot of reviews. Long time ago, Anne Bardach had written in New York Times, Who Brought Yoga to the West, featuring Swami Vivekananda. I remember meeting her in Santa Barbara. And, and then we have recently another book, a British author. She has written on Guru to the World, Swami Vivekananda. So all these kind of thoughts have been crystallizing, and we find this also coming up. So yoga has become everywhere now. So it is Sri Ramakrishna's, you can say, chief disciple Swami Vivekananda, whom Sri Ramakrishna sent here to the West to teach spirituality to people. So you won't be wasting your time seeing this. It'll be good. Tomorrow we have Karma Yoga from 10 to 1. We'll discuss some of the, you can say, principles of Karma Yoga before we can do some Karma Yoga. Sunday is Buddha's light and life. Life and light. Because on 23rd is his birthday. So we're going to speak and discuss about his life and his philosophy. We also have Ram Nam Sunday evening. Okay. We have no questions here. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.